Hello, Megan. I was just wondering if you have some free time next week, Friday? I'm planning on going to visit a friend that lives in the city, and since I'll be in the neighborhood, I was hoping that we could go and have some dinner. Of course, I'll understand if you don't have much time to spare. It's just been a long time since I've seen Nathan, and I don't want him to forget his little old grandma.
Oh, hi, Gina. I'm sorry, but I don't think I'll have time to go out to dinner on Friday. I've been a little busy lately. And Nathan's got his French lessons on Friday evening. I don't think we'll make it.
Oh, really? Then, how about on Saturday? Whatever time is best for you. I can always spend Friday night at a hotel and go and see you the next day. What do you think?
Saturday? One of Nathan's friends from preschool is having a birthday party that day, so it's a no-can-do, I'm afraid.
Oh, what a shame. It sounds like you really are busy.
We really are. We've got so much planned, so it's a little difficult to make time to have dinner at such late notice. Nathan's got to study for the admission test for elementary school, too. There's so much we've got to do before he graduates from preschool.
Oh my goodness, he's got to take admission exams for elementary school? You don't hear that so often.
Well, he took an exam to enter this preschool, so it's only natural that he'd have to take a test for elementary school. The elementary school we're aiming to send him to is a prestigious private school, and a majority of students there go on to enter the top universities in the country. Some even go to study in universities abroad. If he can get into this elementary school, then he'll receive the best education in the country, and entering a private middle school and high school will be as easy as pie. His future will be completely secured as long as he passes his first test.
Really? Oh, he's still so young, and yet it's like he already has to start thinking about his own future. I guess it would be a shame to not make the most of the education there, but it must be so competitive.
Of course! He can't lose to the other children in his preschool. We've got to be careful and make sure that the first step he takes is the right one. Otherwise, he'll end up falling behind in everything.
And you've already got him learning French, too? You're very determined, aren't you?
That's nothing special. Every parent that actually cares about their child's future should be organizing private lessons for them. All the children attending Nathan's preschool are taking at least 3 private lessons in something. Some of them are learning French, Spanish, others are taking piano or cello lessons.
At least 3? Where do they find the time to do all of that? No wonder he doesn't have time to see his grandma. But I hope you'll make some time to bring him over and play for a weekend. I would really love to see him. You've been taking him to visit your parents, haven't you? My son mentioned that you all went out for lunch a couple of weeks ago.
Yes, but it's much easier to visit my parents because they're living in the city too. It's only a short drive to their house, so it doesn't take as much time. It would take much longer to drive to where you live, and we just don't have the time. Besides, even if we did go and visit you, there's absolutely nothing to do. What is my son supposed to do when we all go and visit? I can already imagine him getting bored on the road there, and he'll even be more disappointed when we arrive. And he realizes that they're in the middle of nowhere. I don't want to take him when he won't have fun.
Well, I can't argue with that. There aren't many places to visit here as there are where you live. It certainly doesn't boast as many tourist attractions. But we've got lovely beaches and some wonderful parks and ponds. There's plenty more nature than you'd get in the city, and that would be so good for Nathan. Oh, we could go hiking. It would be so much fun. Trust me.
You must be joking. Why would I want Nathan to play on the beach? It's too dangerous. What if he ended up drowning or hurt himself on some rocks? And I don't want him to take hiking. He'll be touching trees, dirt, insects, and will just get sick from all of the bacteria. I don't even want to think about what could happen to him. In the first place, where on earth would we stay? I don't like the idea of spending the night at your house. It's too old and everything creaks. I won't get any sleep, and I just know that Nathan will hate it there.
Oh, is that so? I'm so sorry. I didn't know that you felt so uncomfortable about staying here. But I can understand why you'd be so put off by it. It's an old wooden house, so it doesn't have the security measures you have in place at your apartment, and you're very right about the floorboards.
Wasn't it your husband's childhood home? He's already passed away, so I don't see why you have to keep on living in that old place. Shouldn't you sell it and move somewhere more convenient? If you move closer, we could think about visiting you more.
I thought about that when he passed, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. He left it to me, and there are so many memories here, of his childhood and of our son's childhood. I couldn't part with it yet. If possible, I'd like to spend the rest of my life in this house, and my son can decide what he wants to do with it after I've gone.
It might be a good idea to have it rebuilt, but I assume you don't have the money for that?
Even if I did have the money, I'm already an old woman. I don't see the point in doing anything like that. Especially since I don't know how long I have left to live. I just think that it would be an awful waste if I spent so much money on rebuilding or renovating it, only to kick the bucket a couple of years later. If I had more children, then I could have asked someone for some help in paying for the renovations, or could have left it to someone else, but since he's an only child, my son is the only one who could inherit it.
We don't have any intention of leaving the city, Gina. I doubt we'll be inheriting it when you're gone.
Yes, of course. How silly of me. You wouldn't want to move into such a remote area when you've got everything right where you are.
If you could at least get it renovated, I could think about taking Nathan to visit you more often. But as it is now, I just can't bear the idea of going to stay with you.
I suppose you're right. It might be worth giving a renovation a go.
I should probably mention this up front, but we won't be able to lend you any money to cover the cost of the renovation. We don't have the money to spare. From now on, we've got to spend all the money we have on Nathan and his education. You'll have to work out a way to pay for it on your own, without relying on us.
Of course, I wouldn't dare trouble you for any money. Oh, you don't have to worry. I can manage it all on my own.
Anyway, I think that we'll be able to make more time once Nathan's exams are over. In other words, we won't have the time to see you until they're over. I'll get in touch when I think we have time, so I'd be very grateful if you could give us some space.
Sure, let Nathan know that I wish him luck on his exams. I hope you don't push yourself too hard either, Megan.
Hello, Gina. Nathan passed his exams.
Oh, congratulations! Oh, that's wonderful news. I was wondering when Nathan's tests would be over, but I'm glad to hear that he's gotten into the elementary school you wanted him to go to.
Oh, his test finished a couple of months back. They make us wait so long to hear the results, so I thought I was going to lose my mind. It's been very nerve-wracking.
Oh, really? Well, a couple of months. Well, I guess this means that Nathan can enjoy the holidays without any worries about school.
Yes, absolutely. It's one obstacle down. That's why we've planned a trip with my parents. We're going away for a week.
Oh, so I won't get to see him for the holidays either? I couldn't see him while he was studying for his exams, and I didn't even know that they were over until you just mentioned it. I was hoping to spend some time with you all when the holidays came up.
You'll have plenty of chances to see him once he starts school. We'll make some time to have dinner when the next holidays come up.
Right, I suppose so. I'm looking forward to it.
More importantly, now that he's secured a place at that school, he won't have to worry about his future at all.
Yes, he must have worked so hard. I'm so proud of him. I imagine it must have been very difficult getting a place there. Private schools are very competitive, especially in that area, aren't they?
It's only natural that Nathan passed a test. You don't need to praise him for something as simple as this. It was worth being so strict about his studying. He's a very smart child, and I'm sure that he can achieve much more if he continues to do his best.
It sounds like you worked just as hard as he did, Megan. I hope you can both enjoy your trip and rest up over the holidays. So just how prestigious is the elementary school he's gotten into?
It's one of the top elementary schools in the country. There's a ranking for these schools, and it's always listed in the top 3. The only downsides are the expensive school fees that come along with the top-class education. Fortunately for us, my husband earns more than enough to afford it. I'm so grateful that he's working in such a major corporation. But he understands that it's a necessary expense for our son's future. We won't regret spending this much money on his education.
Oh, really? In the top 3? Oh, I'm speechless. I can't believe he managed to make it into such an amazing school.
I should also give some credit to the principal at Nathan's preschool. She supported us along the way and gave us a lot of advice. She has a lot of connections spread across many private schools in the city, and she's very knowledgeable when it comes to their admissions. That's one of the many reasons why I chose this preschool for Nathan.
You thought that far ahead when you were deciding which preschool to put him in? I just assumed that you chose it because it was in a very lovely neighborhood.
Of course I did. She really is a wonderful principal, Gina. You'd understand if you had the chance to meet her. She's currently just a preschool principal, but in the past, she's resided over school boards at a very distinguished private school all over the country as superintendent. I've heard rumors that she's still got a lot of power and influence in the education world. So I thought that I could use that to our advantage and get some advice for Nathan.
She really does sound like a very reliable principal. And I'm still surprised by all the research you put into your decision, Megan. You must have a talent for investigating.
It's all information I picked up from the other moms. People can ridicule gossip all they want, but it really does come in handy to be in the know.
That makes a lot of sense. Knowledge really is power, isn't it? But now that Nathan's exams are over, he can relax until it's time for him to graduate from preschool, can't he?
Yes, he can. I'll send you photos from the graduation after it's over.
Oh, that's lovely, but my son asked me if I wanted to attend the ceremony with you all on the day. Would it be okay for me to go with you? I'd love to see you all in person, and I really miss Nathan.
What? My husband invited you to the ceremony. He never told me. What did he tell you?
Well, he mentioned that your parents were going to be there, and said that it would mean a lot to him if I was there too. He said that Nathan would be happy to see everyone gathered for him. I couldn't see him on his first day at preschool, so I was really looking forward to watching him graduate. I told my son that I'd be happy to go, but is there a problem?
But it's a private preschool. It's very different to the kinds of preschools you have in the area where you live. I don't think you'd fit in even if you came. What I'm trying to say is that you'd have to wear something that wouldn't embarrass us. All the parents of the children attending Nathan's preschool are all rich. They're practically celebrities. You wouldn't want to stand out next to them wearing your Sunday best, would you? Do you even have anything suitable to wear?
It's okay. I'll talk to a relative, one of my nieces or someone, and get them to give me some fashion advice. I'll buy something nice, and I won't embarrass you. I promise. Would you please let me come with you? Please, I really would love to see Nathan. I've been looking forward to seeing him for such a long time.
You promise? Okay, I guess you can come with us. But make sure you buy a really nice dress. It's got to be formal, but nothing boring. But you shouldn't stand out either. I don't want people laughing at us.
Megan, I'm so sorry. I won't be able to join you for breakfast. I'm stuck in traffic, and I'm going to be a little late. But I should make it there before the ceremony starts. I really won't be long. Will you just give me a few more minutes?
Gina, I hate to say this, but do you think you can go back home? I don't think you should come to the ceremony after all.
What? Why? But I came all this way. I can't go back now.
I just don't think you belong here. You'll stick out like a sore thumb. And you'll just ruin the celebrations by embarrassing all of us. It's better for all of us if you don't come to the ceremony and just go home.
What do you mean I don't belong there? I'm Nathan's grandmother. I have every right to be there, don't I? I even bought a new dress, especially for today. I won't be an embarrassment, I promise.
I told you. The parents and relatives that are going to be at today's ceremony are different. They're not like you. Unlike you, they're elites. A country bumpkin like you shouldn't come to a place like this.
You're right that I must be a country bumpkin in comparison to all the rich people that will be at today's ceremony, but you don't have to say it like that.
The truth is, I've always been embarrassed by you, Gina. If you come to the ceremony, all those people will see you, and you'll just embarrass Nathan too. I think it's best that you turn around, go home, and leave Nathan alone. He's going to elementary school, so it's a great opportunity for you to stop bothering him.
What? You don't want me to see Nathan anymore? But he's my grandson!
Nathan's been admitted to an elite elementary school. From now on, he's going to lead the life of an elite, just like the other people that are attending the ceremony. The world he's going to live in from now on is different from the one you've lived in your entire life. In this world, you're a loser. I don't want my son getting involved with the likes of you anymore. You're just going to be a bad influence on him. If he's around someone like you, he'll catch some strange habits, and he won't be able to make any friends at school.
The likes of me? You think that I'll be a bad influence on him? Why do I have to be told that I'm a loser? Can you even hear yourself speak? What is the matter with you? You have been so rude talking down to me like that.
You're a poor person, living in a broken down old house. If you're not a loser, then what are you? There's no other word to describe someone who doesn't have anything in life. Nathan doesn't need you. My parents are more than enough as his grandparents. He's got nothing to learn from a good-for-nothing like you. I want you to disappear and never come back for Nathan's sake. If you want the best for him just like I do, you won't interfere with his life.
can't believe you chased me out after I came all this way to attend my grandson's graduation ceremony. I was looking forward to it. To think that you could be so cruel, it's such a shame.
You're being really stubborn, Gina. This is a private preschool. No matter how you look at it, you don't belong in a place like this. You should just leave. You shouldn't have come here in the first place.
Why? What do you mean? I'm not worthy enough to step foot here because I don't have the money all these other people have?
Yeah. A poor person like you would just stand out in a bad way. You'll lower people's image of Nathan. If people realize that you're Nathan's grandmother, you'll just embarrass us all. You're a loser, so you should go back to the countryside where you belong.
I'm appalled that you can talk like that to me. Are you sure you want to keep on insulting me like that? The principal's already furious enough as things are.
What? The principal? What are you talking about? What principal?
I'm talking about the principal of the preschool Nathan's going to. I was standing outside the preschool after you chased me away when the principal happened to come my way. She said that she called out to me because she realized that I was crying.
What? You spoke to the principal? What were you thinking? You're just going to make me look bad. Tell her that nothing's wrong. You're just a loser. You don't have any say in Nathan's life, and you can't do things like that without my permission.
How silly. You really don't learn, do you? It's that attitude you've taken with me that's upset the principal.
What? You mean that the principal is upset with me?
Of course she is. Who wouldn't be after everything you said to me? She's saying that maybe Nathan wasn't worthy of that admission into that elementary school.
What? Why not? This has got nothing to do with that.
I don't think so. It was a private school, so you and my son must have been interviewed along with Nathan, weren't you? She told me that your behavior wasn't appropriate for someone whose child would be attending such a prestigious school.
Excuse me? But all I was doing was protecting my son. I was just doing what I thought was in his best interest. Why would the principal get so upset over something like that? I didn't do anything wrong.
That doesn't make any difference. Besides, the principal and I are actually relatives. My grandfather and her grandmother were siblings.
Relatives? But you never mentioned anything like that. Why didn't you tell me that?
Well, it's been a long time since we last saw each other. We've been out of touch because I moved away when I got married. I was very shocked when I looked up to see her standing right in front of me. Of course, she was just as speechless because I was crying my heart out in front of the gates. I heard that she was working as a principal in this city, but I didn't expect her to be working at Nathan's preschool.
You're kidding. That can't be true. You and the principal were relatives?
And earlier you had the nerve to call me a loser and say that I was poor, but where did you get the idea that I don't have any money? I'm not as poor as you think I am. I've actually inherited hundreds of thousands of dollars from my parents.
What? Hundreds of thousands? No way. Please tell me that you typed that all wrong. Is your family really that rich?
I don't have anything to gain from lying to you. My family is actually rather well known as a distinguished family. The same goes for the principal, too. But of course my grandfather was the eldest son, so my family is directly related to the main family, and the principal's family is a branch family.
What? But you're living in such a shabby house. There's no way you're rich. You didn't even want to spend any money on renovating it.
You may think it's shabby, but it's still a home. It was my husband's childhood home, not mine. Whether I had money or not makes no difference. Besides, I was reluctant to renovate it because my husband's father was insistent that he didn't want anything changed. He was so stubborn and even refused to consider putting in a stair lift when he had difficulty climbing the stairs. My husband wanted to respect his wishes too, so we didn't do anything after his death, and now I don't want to go against my late husband's wishes.
That's why you spent such a long time living in such a broken down house. You had the money to move out and buy a house of your own, and you still stayed there?
Yes, I should warn you that the principal wants to have a word with you.
She wants to talk to me? About what?
I don't know. It's not my place to ask.
She's not planning on telling me that she's going to have Nathan's admission denied, is she? Please, you've got to convince her that she's making a mistake.
You're much too paranoid. I highly doubt that. I don't think she has the power to do something like that.
But I've heard rumors that she's still got a lot of power and influence. She could do it if she spoke to someone at the elementary school. She knows the superintendent there. She might even speak to him herself and get him to announce that there was some sort of mistake and that Nathan didn't really pass his test.
Come to think of it, she did mention that a relative of hers was working as a superintendent at the private school Nathan got into. In other words, I'm related to the superintendent, too.
What? This is ridiculous. Just how many connections do you have?
To be more precise, the superintendent is related to the principal's wife, so I'm not related to the superintendent by blood, but it's true that the principal has relatives in every corner of the education world. We might even meet relatives when it comes time for Nathan to enter middle school, high school, and even university. How fun. It'll be like a family get-together every time. But it's not good news for you, since the principal plans on telling the superintendent at the private school everything that's happened between us. The superintendent's not going to have a good impression of you, and Nathan hasn't even started going to school yet.
Oh no. This can't be happening. What do I do? What if this affects how they look at Nathan? Please tell me they're not going to give him a bad evaluation because of me.
Looks like you're the one that's been a bad influence on Nathan, not me. Your arrogant behavior is what's going to ruin chances for him. Do you understand that?
Gina, I'm really sorry about what I said to you today. I know that I have no right to ask this, but would you please consider forgiving me?
Well, you finally stopped calling me a loser and gotten back to calling me by name. Your attitude's changed completely since this morning. What happened? But there's no use sucking up to me because it's obvious that you're not really sorry.
I really am sincerely sorry. You've got to believe me. I'm so sorry that I was so rude to you and said all those horrible things. After our conversation, the principal and I spoke, and not only did I get told off by her, but I was also reprimanded by my parents and my husband.
Is that so? What did they say to you?
They told me that I was the one making things difficult for Nathan's future, and that the obstacle wasn't you, but actually me.
Well, they're right. My son messaged me earlier to apologize and assure me that I would never have to worry about being spoken to like that ever again. He was surprised that I was even at the preschool at all, since you told him that I had fallen sick and couldn't make it today. What a cunning woman you are. I can't believe you could be so dirty.
I'm so sorry. Looking back, I can see how wrong I was to treat you the way I did. My husband told me that he wanted a divorce. If I can't get you to forgive me, I'm going to lose my husband. He won't forgive me until he's heard that we've made up and made peace.
Make peace? I have no intention of forgiving you.
Please? Can't you rethink that? You've got to, or I really will lose everything. Please, I'm begging you. I won't ever talk to you like that ever again. I can't even believe how rude I was to someone from such a powerful family. I promise to take Nathan to visit you more often. You miss him, don't you? I'm sure he'd love to go and visit you.
Why should I forgive you? I want you out of my family, too. I think it's best that you and my son divorce, too. One day when I've passed, my son will inherit all my money, and I've been avoiding unnecessary expenses so that he can inherit more of it. But I don't want you receiving a single dollar. If possible, I want my son to take custody of my grandson, too.
No, I won't let that happen. If we get divorced, I'm taking my son.
But even if you do gain custody, can you really afford to pay the tuition fees? You'll have to pull Nathan out of private school if you take him. You've never worked a day in your life. Do you have the money to pay a fortune for his education?
I'll ask my parents to lend me some money. I'll make it work somehow.
Can your parents really afford it? Do they have the money?
They're not as rich as you or my husband, but they have some savings.
I think it's best that my son takes custody. That way Nathan will grow up in a more stable environment. My son has the money after all. He doesn't even need to rely on me financially. And if there's a 1 in a million chance that he can't continue paying the tuition fees, I can pay for them in his place.
But I should take custody of Nathan. I'm the one that's been raising him this entire time, while my husband's been at work. If we get divorced, I should take him. I'm the only one that knows what's best for Nathan.
Are you really sure that you were acting in Nathan's best interests? I don't think so.
What?
My son's mentioned your methods to me before. He told me that he was worried that you've been too harsh on Nathan and that if anything, Nathan's been acting out because you've been so controlling and limiting his free time. I heard that Nathan's been pulling his own hair out because of the stress he's been under, even though he's still so small.
That's not true. He hasn't been acting out at all.
Sending him to a private school isn't everything, you know. It doesn't matter if he goes to a regular elementary school. The principal was saying the same thing too, that raising your child with plenty of love and affection is more important than any expensive education.
I love Nathan. I've been raising him with all the care in the world.
Is that really love? Have you really been putting Nathan's feelings first? Are you sure you haven't been pushing him to achieve more and more and making him feel like he's not enough? He needs to feel loved for who he is, not for what you want him to be. For Nathan's sake, I think that you should just disappear. After that, Megan came to my house and begged me to forgive her. However, it's not easy to undo the damage that's been done. She had spent a long time trying to keep me apart from Nathan, and I couldn't bring myself to forgive how she had treated him, as well as how she had treated me. My son lost all hope in reconciling with Megan and pushed the divorce papers in her face. Apparently, she begged and pleaded with him to forgive her too, but no matter how much she cried, my son couldn't forgive what she had done and had her sign the papers. When the divorce proceedings were over, it was decided that my son would take full custody of Nathan because she wasn't financially stable enough to raise him on her own. It seems that Megan did her best to keep a hold of Nathan, but to no avail. In the end, it seems that Nathan was the one who refused to go with his mother and begged that his dad take him with him. It looks like her harsh attitude and strict studying schedule had frightened Nathan, and he didn't want to be with her anymore. My grandson wished to go and live with his father, and in the end, that's what happened. When she realized that she had been rejected by her own son, her pride was shattered. After the divorce, Megan returned to live with her parents, but nothing could heal the pain she had brought upon herself. I heard through the grapevine that she hardly ever left the house and had become a shut-in. My son began visiting more often and brought Nathan with him to see me. I had never seen Nathan so much since he was born and was grateful to my son for bringing him all the way to my old house whenever he could. According to my son, Nathan had started laughing much more since he had divorced Megan, and he looked much happier balancing his studies and going out to play more often. I think that education starts with the will to protect your children and by teaching them how to live a healthy and safe lifestyle. It's definitely not a tool used to control your children, and you shouldn't force your own ambitions onto them.